Hi, I'm Bradley.
And I'm Brendan.
And on today's episode of Story Proof, we are talking about the film The Prince of Egypt from 1998.
Woo!
Yeah, if you haven't seen this movie, what are you doing with your life? Go watch it. It is incredible. It is amazing. It is all of the good things. The music is so good. The voice cast is so unbelievably stacked.
Yeah.
The animations are beautiful. As far as the music, there's one song in this that I constantly refer to as the most beautiful piece of music I've ever heard, and that is Saying Something.
Yeah.
And I think we've talked about this film a little bit before.
Yeah, we talked about it a little bit before because it made an appearance on my top 10 films, my top 10 favorite films list. Yeah, I love this movie. Ditto basically everything you just said about it. There are moments in it where you can tell that the animation has aged a little bit, but for the most part, it is still just a gorgeous film.
I disagree entirely. I think it is flawless. That's not true. But no, it is a fantastic film. I will say this is not a Disney movie, but if you ever thought that, fair. I thought it was a Disney movie for a very long time, but it was worked on by a lot of Disney people and former Disney people.
Yeah.
But this is a
DreamWorks.
Yeah, it's a DreamWorks film. Couldn't think for a second. It is a DreamWorks film. At the time that it released, it was the highest grossing non-Disney animated film of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it grossed, I think, $218 million, which is very good. It had a budget of around $60 million, so you usually want to make 2.5 times your budget back. They did that with Room to Spare.
Yeah. Suffice it to say, without this movie, you don't end up getting DreamWorks' what's regarded as like the thing that put DreamWorks on the map, which is the Shrek franchise.
Yeah.
And then, of course, they've gone on to do, How to Train Your Dragon and Kung Fu Panda and all those other things people seem to love that I've not seen yet.
Do they do the Minions movies?
No, that's
Dang.
Illumination.
Oh, yes, it is.
But yeah, you were talking about like the voice cast in this thing.
Dude.
It is stacked, led by the two most important performances, Ralph Fiennes
and Brian Stokes Mitchell. Absolutely, 100% agree. Most people at home are like, "Who the fuck is that?"
Yeah, Brian Stokes Mitchell is the one who provided the singing voice for Jethro in one of the many brilliant songs.
Heaven's eyes.
One of the many brilliant songs in this movie.
Yeah, if you don't happen to know the name Brian Stokes Mitchell, he is Broadway legend.
Yeah.
So good. He sings with Audra McDonald a lot. I would think probably mostly well known for Ragtime, where he and she played the two leads in that, or two of the leads in that. Wonderful voice, but I love the fact that he shows up, sings one song in pieces.
Yeah.
Because ye old Danny Glover voices the character up until he sings, and he's like, all right, I'm out. I ain't even trying this. A surprising number of the voice actors do their singing, though.
Yeah.
Like, it was a higher number than I thought it would be.
Yeah, it's impressive. I do want to. We would be remiss if we didn't mention also Val Kilmer, who actually just recently passed away a few days ago before we started talking about this, who voices Moses.
Yeah. He also voices God.
Yeah, which is a very cool concept.
Yeah.
In and of itself, you don't see that very often in Exodus story adaptations.
Yeah. It is a cool idea. That is something that, despite how many billions of times I watched this movie, I did not know that until we started doing research for this episode.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly. It's primarily Val Kilmer, but I think
it was digitally enhanced. They actually got voice recordings of a lot of members of the cast doing the voices, but then they layered them under his, so you get the very like ethereal sounding stuff to it.
Yeah,
but it is cool. I will say, when I mentioned the music earlier, the Burning Bush, that is like it's top 3 most beautiful things I've ever heard.
Oh, I knew that already. We've talked about that ad nauseum before.
So good.
Like, we love the soundtrack. We love the music. We love the songs. We love the score. The score was provided by Hans Zimmer.
Steven Schwartz wrote a bit of the music too.
Yeah, I think he was the lyrics and some of the music on it as well.
don't happen to know the name Steven Schwartz, Wicked's really big right now.
Yeah.
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 He wrote that.
Yeah.
He's actually in the movie.
Yeah.
He is the guy who comes out and says, "The wizard will see you now," which I've always stated, if I audition for Wicked, that is the part I want. I love him in the original because he's so good. "The wizard will see you now." One line. Boom. Done. Go home. Love it. You want to do a quick rundown of the list?
Yeah, we can just kind of do a quick rundown before we get it. Like, this thing is stacked. We already mentioned Val Kilmer and Ralph Fiennes playing the two main leads, Moses and Ramesses.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, the supporting cast in this thing is crazy, too. You got Michelle Pfeiffer, who plays Zipporah in this. You've got Sandra Bullock and Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah, then we've got, already mentioned Danny Glover. One thing I did not know until we started doing this is is Patrick Stewart does Pharaoh Seti. He does their father at the beginning. Yeah. I never knew that. And you gave me crap. You're like, how'd you know? He's in the movie for 10 seconds.
Yeah,
he has maybe 3 lines.
Yeah, but it sounds so much like Charles Xavier.
Yeah, but then you also have James Avery. You have fucking Uncle Phil, who plays a shitty character who gets yeeted off a pyramid in like 10 seconds. They cast some pretty damn big people in this to, kill them immediately. But yeah, we do have Patrick Stewart, Helen Mirren. There are 2 very almost Tweedledee and Tweedledum type characters where it's 2 guys who were kind of goofy, kind of funny together. They are voiced by Steve Martin and Martin Short.
Who are always a good time.
Yeah, like together. Pairing those 2 guys, that's peanut butter and jelly with those 2 guys. And then you also mentioned Francesca Marie Smith. You said that you knew who she was?
Yeah, she's primarily known for voicing Helga Pataki in the Hey Arnold show that used to air on Nickelodeon.
Yeah, that was not one that I watched.
Yeah, you weren't a Nickelodeon guy. You were more Cartoon
Network, baby.
Yeah.
But yeah, just stacked freaking cast, man. They do an incredible job. I will say, in rewatching this with a bit more of a critical lens about it, the writing in this I feel like is very good.
It's phenomenal.
Yeah,
it really
like
is.
Everything just like flows so naturally from one thing to the next that by the time it ends, it kind of feels like it started and it never really let up. It just kept going.
Yeah. This movie is often compared to the 10 Commandments for obvious reasons. It's telling the same story. It makes sense. But it's telling the story in 2 different ways. And I think, honestly, in my heart, as much as I enjoy the 10 Commandments as a movie, it's a great movie. This movie tells the story better, in my opinion.
It's got music. That makes it better.
The music helps. The score for the 10 Commandments is great, though.
But it's not the Plagues.
The Plagues is my favorite. The Plagues is one of my favorite sequences in film, period.
I will say musically, it's probably the best.
Yeah.
Hard because you've got Deliver Us, you've got We Believe, you've got Burning Bush, you've got Through Heaven's Eyes. I'm just going to name all the songs because they're all super good. But I think The Plagues is probably the best. And yeah, the cinematicness of that scene is just absolutely perfect. It is so good. Also, the music when the firstborn children are dying is very remarkably well written for what it is conveying.
Yeah,
like it does almost a hauntingly good job.
It's very ethereal.
Yeah, and it's very beautiful but sad. It's good shit. Good shit. It's a good fucking movie.
Yeah, maybe we should talk about it more.
So when the movie opens, we open with a song. We open with a lot more than a song. I learned a new fucking word for this fucking one. Fucking what? Infanticide, is it how? I would say
infanticide.
I would say infanticide. Yeah, infanticide is killing a bunch of babies. I don't like that we have a word for that. That fucks me up. We talked about, I know regicide, patricide, I know that's a thing, but that's killing a very specific person. The fact that you have a fucking word for killing babies, that's fucked up.
Yeah. So, yeah, the movie opens in the place where the story of Exodus begins, which is with Seti the First killing children of the Hebrew slaves. Because one was prophesied to be the deliverer that would escort the slaves from Egypt and into freedom.
So he is worried about an uprising from the Hebrews.
Yes. This entire sequence is over just deliver us, which is just a powerhouse opening number.
Yeah.
And the visuals that are conveyed in this are very stark. Like, you feel the desperation and the desolation and everything else going on.
Especially in the very beginning when you see them being whipped and they are creating all the building materials and they were like their feet in, and it's all the male voices and they're all low, and you're like, fuck, dude, this like hits a little more. Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, the beginning of this musically and cinematically is very reminiscent of the beginning of Les Mis. Yeah. It is literally a lot of men doing hard work while being whipped and being like, well, this sucks. End song.
That's a good parallel. That's actually not.
Well, I really thought about it because it's all the male voices.
Yeah.
The women don't come in until you hear the more hopefulness of the Deliver Us part.
Mm-hmm.
Good shit. Good music.
Transition to Moses' mother, who is secreting baby Moses away in a basket.
Mm-hmm.
And
what's her name? I was really wanting to hear you try to pronounce the name.
I'm
trying to. It's like Yocheved?
It's Yocheved.
I like my pronunciation better. Yocheved.
It depends on the version, because I believe in the Ten Commandments she's actually Yoshebel. But...
Well, this got weirder. Also, I'm very sorry for mispronouncing names. I promise I'm not doing it on purpose. I'm just bad at pronouncing names.
Yeah. Yocheved is his mother, and Miriam is his older sister.
And
Aaron is his brother. They're both there with her as she's trying to escape the city and avoid the guards. She makes her way with the kids down to the Nile, where she sets Moses afloat in a basket, trying to send him to a better place, asking God to shepherd him to a safer place so that he may live.
Yeah, it's a very nice little lullaby moment.
Yeah.
So his mother sends him down the Nile in a little basket. She gives him a really nice lullaby. It's very pretty. She's like, "You're going to deliver us." And he's like, "I'm a baby." Yeah. He doesn't actually say those words. That'd be crazy.
The juxtaposition, I will say, of her lullaby with Deliver Us is so, like, it's beautifully done. And it's very much a solid transition between the two.
Yeah, it's also really nice to hear her doing, like, the vocalizing at the end.
Yeah.
It's very, very beautiful.
Yeah, they very much meld together very well, too, at the end. It's
good
so
shit,
good.
Man. Good shit.
But Moses is on the river. God makes him survive because he's getting nearly chomped by crocodiles. He's nearly getting chomped by hippopotamus. And he nearly gets hit by a boat. Like,
he's fine. He's got that plot armor.
He does have the plot armor because he ends up.
And also, his sister Miriam is like running alongside with him the whole time, so she is watching where he's going.
Yeah, she's trying to fit and watch where he's going, and he floats into the palace of the Pharaoh of Egypt, and right into the waiting arms of Pharaoh's wife,
Queen Tuya.
Yes.
Just straight up right to where she is, and you're like, okay, that's a little convenient, but okay.
So she decides to adopt Moses and is like, "Hey, Ramesses, check out your brother."
Immediately, she's just like, "I have found a baby. This is my baby. I shall call the baby Moses."
Yeah, and right away she kind of like cold shoulders Ramesses.
Yeah.
In this moment because of Moses.
Yeah, so and in the scene that's coming up, we're going to see there's definitely some favoritism from one parent to one child and the other parent to the other child.
Yeah, and it helps to really sort of build that schism that ultimately tears them apart, which is great. So Deliver Us ends, and then we smash cut to black, come back, and there's a chariot race. Years have passed. Moses and Ramesses are much older now. They're probably
20-ish.
Like 18, 20, something like that.
Yeah.
They're young men, and they're racing chariots through Egypt, causing mayhem and ruckus, as brothers do.
Say mayhem and ruckus. They are like forces of chaos, death, and destruction.
Yeah,
The amount of damage that they are able to cause in this is a little outrageous.
they cause the Sphinx to smile, and then they cause Seti's statue
I was like,
to smile,
Seti smiles, and
and
knock
then they knock the
off,
nose off the Sphinx. So
which is very funny.
it's a very funny visual gag.
But I mean, these chariots are not to be stopped. They
No.
run. They defy every law of physics known to man.
Yeah, it's
It's a good sequence.
it's
You
a
can
great-
tell that this is where you do get a bit of character stuff here, where they have back and forth. They're very competitive, which understandably,
yeah.
they cause a lot of destruction. And they're just kind of like, oops.
And Ramesses is more concerned about how it's going to look and how their father's going to react, as opposed to Moses, who's like, it'll be fine.
Yeah, one's much more lackadaisical, and then one is much more
Yeah.
rules, regulations type.
Yeah. And then we meet Seti, who's immediately disciplining them,
Voiced by Patrick Stewart
voiced by Patrick Stewart.
for all 5 of his lines. He's in it for a little bit longer, but
And this is one of those great shots, moments where you get one of those great shots where he's disciplining Ramesses and Moses, where you get like the full-on shot outside of the palace of just Egypt in general. You've got Seti's face right there in the foreground beside him, and everything else, like the grand scope and everything of it, is just gorgeous.
it's a good shot.
Basically, Seti wants Ramesses to grow up and basically be more responsible about everything, because he's going to be pharaoh and he doesn't want the dynasty to end.
So it's right after this that we do have a kind of nice brotherly moment where, as they're kind of being scolded, and Ramesses is like, you suck, you suck. He doesn't say that. That's not the words of great Seti. As he is disciplining them, Ramesses is honestly just kind of taking it on the chin at this point. Moses does step up and say, well, you should give him a chance. Give him a chance to prove himself. And we're kind of going to go a little faster because it's sort of just individual points from here for this next little bit. But he does, he being Seti, does name Ramesses Prince Regent at that point, which is nice. It's a nice moment. And then Cheech and Chong, oh, I'm sorry, Tweedledee and Tweedledum. Oh, I'm sorry. I meant... You know what? I'm saying that kind of jokingly. They're not stupid characters.
No.
They're really good at hoodwinking people.
Oh, yeah, they're
But
crafty.
it's just, when I think of the Tweedledee and Tweedledum, like the comedic energy between these two, I'm like, that's pretty spot on.
Yeah.
But yeah, you do have the two, Hotep and Hoy, which are the two that are voiced by Steve Martin and Martin Short.
Yeah, they're the priests of the temple.
Yeah.
And they are the ones who work the magic of the gods for Seti and the royal family and all that. They're important.
Yeah, it would be very, very easy to write these guys off as
Simple comic relief.
yeah, or even just very fake people.
Yeah.
But when you see what they do, like with the blood water and the snake, you're like, these guys are really, really good at what they do.
Yeah.
They also have maybe the catchiest song in the show. It is my least favorite, but it is annoyingly catchy.
Yeah.
But they show up with a woman, Zipporah, that they are offering to Ramesses as a gift
Yeah.
for the Prince Regent. And then they have a little bit of back and forth where she is basically holding on to, I think it's just like a rope. Or is
Yeah,
it,
it's a rope or a chain. I can't
yeah,
remember exactly.
and
which.
she's latched onto one end of it. Moses is latched onto another end, and they're both doing a little tug of war. He looks behind her and is just like, she's like, let go. And he's like, okay, let's go. She falls into a puddle. So there's a nice moment. Ha ha ha.
Yeah.
Ramesses is like, that was funny. You can have this woman. And you're like, wow, this movie's slightly problematic. It's something. But yeah, so this is the introduction of Zipporah. And he also, Ramesses does name Moses as the chief architect. I'm sorry, the royal chief architect at this point. So it's kind of like, you fought for my promotion, I'll give you one as well.
Yeah. I don't know. For some of it's a little bit of get back from Ramesses. Ramesses because it's giving Moses a bit more responsibility than he's like looking for
Yeah, but
in this moment.
I think
But,
it's nice though. I think it's more nice. I think
No,
it's more like wanting to see his brother
yeah,
kind of
it's-
rise to the occasion.
It's definitely that. It's definitely these two brothers like, hey, we're in this together. It's you and me. We're gonna make all this happen. Egypt's gonna be ours for the taking.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, Moses, after the ceremony, starts to head back to his room, and he finds a guard and their dogs tied up inside of his bedroom because he had told the guards to take Zipporah back to his chambers.
Yeah.
And this is when Zipporah has found her camel and she's trying to disappear. And Moses has to make a split-second choice of, hey, am I going to get the guards to seize her, or am I going to let her go? And he actually distracts the guards, sends them to his room because of the guy who's tied up, and lets Zipporah escape. Which is an interesting choice.
You think so?
Yeah.
That's fair.
It shows kind of that inner decency that's within him, even if he's not necessarily acting on it yet.
Yeah. But I will say, though, in choosing to let her go is where he kind of starts the domino effect of, as he's sort of following her out of the city, is when he happens upon his siblings from earlier who are now grown up, who immediately recognize him.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I see you wanting to explain it away. I think it's bullshit. Bullshit.
I don't think so, though.
Bullshit.
Because think about it. These are Hebrews. They're slaves in Egypt.
Mm-hmm.
And Miriam knows where Moses ended up.
Mm-hmm.
So
she didn't know his name.
No, she doesn't know his name specifically.
Mm-hmm.
But she knows that he ended up with the queen.
Mm-hmm.
And they would know who the prince of Egypt is. They would know who he is.
You sure?
Yeah.
The slaves.
Yeah.
Did they read it in their newspaper?
No.
I think you're assuming too much. I don't think they were as informed as you think they were. He does bump into Miriam and Aaron, who he obviously does not recognize because he was a bebe, and it's been 1,000 years and she shouldn't recognize him. But he bumps into them, and he kind of has a moment where he's a little bit of a dick because she's like, brother, brother, and he's like, I do not know thy slave woman.
Yeah.
And he does not believe them, and he like very closely almost has them arrested. And then she starts singing the lullaby that his mom sang to him, and he's like, core memory activated.
Well, yeah, because we didn't mention it before. I think it's in the scene between when Seti's chastising them and when they get named like Prince Regent and everything else. He's walking through a statuary room, and he's actually whistling the tune for the lullaby, like it's a core memory for him that he knows, but he doesn't know where it's from.
Yeah.
So that unlocks the core memory and is like, hey, I remember this now. I don't know how he remembers it because he was like 5 days old when he was set adrift and she sang it. But you know what? If I was set adrift in the Nile River and I was nearly chomped by crocodiles, I would probably remember some stuff too. So fair enough.
Yeah, there was also a moment, crap, I guess I kind of skipped over a music thing, when he sings the, oh wait, hold on.
Are you about to go about All I Ever Wanted?
Yeah. Has he sang it yet?
No, that's after.
That is after.
That's after Miriam confronts him
Yeah,
for the
yeah,
first time.
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, he sees them, she sings the lullaby, and then he starts to have like kiss breakdown. He's like, oh my god, I think she's telling the truth. I'm a Hebrew.
Yeah, he has an identity crisis and he starts to question who he is because of this. And so he runs back to the temple and he has a great song, admittedly.
All I ever wanted.
And what I like is that it's not him singing the song. It's like his internal monologue of, okay, this is what I wanted. This is everything else. So it's inside of him the entire time. Like he's telling himself something. But
The end of the song is also really nice when his mom sings.
Yeah.
The mom being the queen.
yeah.
Yeah. She says, like, here the river brought you and here the river led. When the gods send you a blessing, you don't ask why it was sent. So, like, she loves him so much. She's like, you're not just a child we found. You were, like, sent by the gods to us, to me. And you're like, that's so nice.
While at the meantime also hand waving away, like,
Shut up.
you don't have to worry about all that.
It's still
like
nice.
it's a great moment. And yes, the queen very much loves Moses and wants him to continue in the way he's always been and being her son and everything else. Then Moses has a fever dream.
Yeah, he does have a dream about. I don't remember how he ends up with Seti, looking at the walls. That's why I'm
So
racking my
he's-
brain. I can't remember how he got down there.
So he just starts after he's talking to the queen. He starts going down into the crypts and everything else.
And
then he sees the artwork on the walls because there's this big old mural of hieroglyphics that's depicting the slaughter of the firstborns. And
good old infanticide.
yes,
I've
And-
never hated a word more in my life. But go ahead.
and so then we get this really cool moment
Yeah,
where
I do enjoy this moment.
Yeah.
But boy, is it fucked.
so here we go into a change in art style where Moses starts to see the events of the infanticide.
I hate that word. But go ahead.
So Moses is looking at the hieroglyphics. He starts to have a fever dream or something, and he sees them moving and depicting the infanticide of the newborn Hebrews being tossed to the crocodiles and everything else. And they start moving, and it's this really cool animation sequence of that. And as and he just sees like, and as the sequence comes to a close, he's like torn out of it, and Seti's there, standing with him.
Yeah.
And they just got like the torchlight there, and Moses is like, "How could you do this?" Like,
Yeah, and there's a moment where Seti like almost has a nice like you're not them type moment, but then
Yeah.
at the end he's like, "Why are you upset? They're only slaves."
yeah,
And you're like, "Ugh, that
yeah,
puts a bad taste in your mouth at the end of this nice little moment."
yeah,
But this does lead into the next day. Moses is down around where they're working on the pyramids, and there are, slaves. And freaking Uncle Phil, I guess,
yeah.
is like beating this one dude to the point that it's not getting him to work anymore. It's just beating him.
Yeah, he's an old dude. He's emaciated. He can't lift the weight that they want him to lift.
Yeah, if you're wondering what he
anymore.
looks like, if you've recently seen Hunchback, the guy who's like, I'm free, dang it. He looks a little like that. You know who I'm talking about. Don't give me that look.
Anyway, yeah, Moses kills a guy.
Yeah. Does he, or did this man not have the strength to withstand gravity? Because all Moses did was fucking yeet him off the side of some pyramid scaffolding.
To be fair, Moses is trying to stop him from using the whip, and he ends up accidentally pushing him over the edge, and he falls and he dies.
Yeet. He yeets him over the edge.
Yes, he eats him. So then Moses is like,
Yeah, he's having a just fucking meltdown. Oh my
Yeah.
god, I killed a man. And Ramesses is like, bro, who cares? He's
I'm
a
gonna
slave
be-
driver. Yeah. he's
I'm
like,
gonna be Pharaoh. I can make it go away.
See, it just sucks that like he sings in the song earlier about father, mother, brother, oh so noble. I can't fucking say it. I have to sing it apparently. But it's like each individual family member and fucking each one of them, they're only slaves. It's only an Egyptian person. It was
Yeah.
only everyone else, but it didn't happen to you. Fucking sucks that all the people in his life just keep having that like asterisk at the end of all of these things, and it's too much.
It's just those little disappointments that keep building up and amidst his crisis of faith, crisis of self,
Identity, yeah.
and it's just all gonna come to a culmination. And Moses is just like, I can't do this. I have to go away.
Yeah, he just straight up fucking runs into the desert.
He runs into the desert and disappears, and Ramesses. He runs into the desert and disappears. Ramesses calling out the whole way because Ramesses is like, "Hey, bro, what's going on? Come back."
Yeah, that sucks. There's such a nice hope that things are gonna work out well between them. Yeah. Spoiler alert: it doesn't.
It's just they've done such a good job in such. I think we're only like what 30 minutes.
Not particularly far in the movie at this point.
But they've done such a great job of building up the brotherly love that these two share.
Yeah.
And the connection that these two share. And now we're starting to see that shatter.
Yeah. And it's so clear. Every interaction that they fucking have. You know exactly. These are very, very well-defined characters.
Yeah.
I've talked many times about people and places feeling lived in.
Yeah.
You know, I love that time jump because within 10 seconds after that time jump, we know exactly who these two guys are.
Yeah.
We know that this one's more rigid. We know this one's not. The idea that one is much more aligned to the father, one's much more aligned to the mother.
Yeah.
They clearly love each other. You have so many good things set up. And yes, so fucking quickly. Because we're about 30 minutes in. Fucking Believe is like 8 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, this movie does not like move too fast. It's got really good pacing. But you get so... like I said earlier, once it starts, man, this thing is full steam ahead for the whole fucking movie. In a very good way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fuck, this movie's good.
Yeah, this movie's so good. So Moses ends up wandering through the desert for an unspecified amount of time. It's got to be a couple days.
As you do.
He gets caught up in a sandstorm and collapses, and then by some miracle,
Plot armor.
by some miracle, is it Zipporah's camel who or is it a horse that finds him?
He looks up and sees like the well.
Yeah.
And scurries over to it and starts drinking, and then he looks up and you see the camel just like blah, like drop the the animation on the camel's mouth really fucking good.
Yeah, so he's just happened to wander into the village where Zipporah lives, the woman he helped to
Not really
escape.
in the village yet.
Not really in the village yet. It's a well. There's like a bandit that's
brigand.
A bandit.
Just a bad doer in general.
Yeah, he's.
It's almost like he's not threatening them. He's just sort of fucking with them.
Yeah, I guess he wants their water. I think, right?
Which is dumb because there's water right there, bro.
I mean, I guess technically it might be their family well.
Well, they didn't stop Moses.
Sorry. Yeah, you're right. They didn't stop Moses, but
I don't know.
It's
fine.
So eventually Moses manages to distract them by setting their horses off into the desert, and they have to chase after him. And it turns out
these are the younger sisters of Zipporah.
Yeah, they take him back. Armor. They take him back to the village and introduce him to Jethro, their father.
You do meet Jethro, and Jethro, he's a good time, man. He is who I want to be. He's like the village elder who's a big guy, who laughs a lot, who's like, come, feast with us. I will not take no for an answer. I'm funny. That guy. That's my man.
Yeah, he's just
love that guy.
He's the jovial dad who's like, hey, you come in, you sit, you have a meal and stuff like that.
Yeah, and it's literally like, you helped my one daughter escape from Egypt. You helped my other daughters here. You have to stay with us.
Yeah.
There is a funny thing where he's like, you've been in the desert. We will clean you. And like the women are scrubbing him down, and they're like, we must clean everywhere. And he's like, everywhere? Everywhere. Did not get that joke as a kid.
Yeah. So yeah, he does sit down to eat with them, and that's when Jethro he tells Jethro, I don't feel worthy of your kindness and your sympathy and all that.
There are a lot of nice moments in this village.
Yeah.
Oh man.
And that's that's when Jethro tells him, "Hey, you saved Zipporah. You saved my youngest daughters. That is the sign of your worthiness. You're a good person, whether you believe it or not."
Yeah.
And then
It's a little bit of like song mixed with story because a lot of stuff happens during the song.
there's so much montage going on.
Yeah,
in
so
this.
this is when he starts singing Through Heaven's Eyes, which is my personal favorite song of the show. The one I sing all the time, sung by Brian Stokes Mitchell, who, if you didn't know, is not just kidding.
We already went on a 5-minute.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not gonna give you his resume again. But he starts singing it, and it's a montage of, you see that Moses becomes a shepherd. He is given the like shepherd's staff.
Yeah.
I guess you would call it
His staff, yeah.
his big stick. Probably shouldn't say that. His staff. And it's during this montage that you see he is a shepherd. He is very good at it. He protects the sheep. He and Zipporah start getting a little flirty. They get a little dancey. There is a really nice moment where she's like, "Dance with me," and he's like, "No, I don't know all the steps." And then of course the dad immediately, boom! You must learn to join the dance. Like, fucking love this shit, man. Best part of the fucking movie, man. This fucking part.
Yeah, this
It's so good.
This montage is so well executed because, like you said, it shows Moses' transformation. You see him become visibly more happy as he goes along because he starts to open up. He finds himself. He's starting to feel like he knows who he is a bit more.
Yeah. He also starts to look a bit different. He grows a beard. He doesn't have the big head plate piece or anything like that. So he starts to look more like, I think, the Moses that people expect.
Yeah. My favorite part of this whole sequence is when Moses is like proposing marriage, basically. Like, you just see it in shadows inside of the thing, and you see Jethro just like embrace them both and give
Jethro
them a big
is
bear hug.
I love Jethro's the best character in this show. Not hands down, the best. If I ever get to audition for a stage version of this, I will play Jethro 100%. It's so good. It's so much fun. And yeah, it does towards the end of it end with them getting married. So it is very clear that some time has passed, which is also a really smart thing to do in a song, in a montage, because it just helps progress not just the story, but the world.
Yeah.
Talk about it being lived in. It's nice to know that, because when we go back to Egypt, shit has changed. Stuff has happened since then.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just smart fucking writing, man.
It's so good. It's so good. So after the Through Heaven's Eyes montage, this is where you finally see Moses kind of full-fledged in his shepherd, just out in his element and stuff like that. A wayward sheep goes off into the mountains, and Moses is like, "Oh, God, okay, I gotta go get this guy. Come on." And he goes after the sheep. And so, following the sheep leads him right to the burning bush.
Yep. Which, if you don't know, is kind of like a conduit to the voice of God.
Yeah, it's.
I guess not kind of. It literally is.
It literally is just like a personification of God on earth.
The animation of it looks really cool.
Yeah, it's just a purple.
It's almost like 2.5D animation.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
It's very ethereal, which it makes sense. It's supposed to be the emblem of God, and like we said earlier, it's primarily Val Kilmer doing the voice of God.
Yeah,
with all that underlaying underneath.
And God is telling him to go free the Hebrews, and he's like, how? And God's like, "Here, this staff, you will have my powers." And Moses is like, "Sold."
It's not quite that easy. Moses is very much in the midst of his hero's journey, where he's like, "I have to deny the call. I cannot do this. The Hebrews will not listen to me. I was the one who oppressed them. Why would they listen to me?" And God ain't having
God's just like, "Bitch, did I stutter?" That's not a statement I ever thought I'd say in my life, but here we are.
So yeah, God raises his voice, and then it's very funny because he raises his voice to get crazy about that moment, and then it shrinks back down, and he's like, "Oh, Moses, I'm going to gently nudge you forward now. You can do this. You're gonna do
Moses, I did not actually give you a choice.
You're gonna do so good, buddy." This is where he imbues the staff with his powers, and I said before that the plagues is my favorite sequence. I think my second favorite sequence in this now is when he comes back down from the mountain and seeing the burning bush. And again, you just see him telling Zipporah, but there's not actual dialogue to it. It's just him miming out everything and showing it. And you just see him slowly, and she just collapses down under the weight of it. Like, oh, it's such good storytelling. It's such good animation.
And then they go back to Egypt.
Yeah, Zipporah's like, Moses, I don't think, are you sure we should do this? And Moses is like, I think I have to. So they go back to Egypt, and I don't know. Ramesses acts like he doesn't know it's Moses, so do they just welcome everybody with as much aplomb as they get in this?
I do not have a response to that.
Like, they get welcomed in with this grand, like, parade processional thing that's all inside of the, like, he's some visiting dignitary. But then when they finally get up to the throne...
Moses!
Yeah. So Ramesses is, I guess, surprised maybe to see that it's Moses. But immediately... What I love is immediately, as soon as he sees Moses, he's like, "Brother, you've returned."
Yeah, it's a little bit of a gut-wrenching moment because it ain't gonna work.
He's just so overcome with, okay, my brother's back. I can see him again. And then Moses is just like,
nah, bro.
Like, well, Moses is like, Ramesses, it's so good to see you. So
Ramesses is Pharaoh now.
Yeah, Seti
has gone.
Yeah. So Ramesses is Pharaoh, and do you see his son here in the throne room?
It is a little bit after, but not by a lot.
It's on the boat, right? When you're,
I think it's before that.
Is it?
I think the boat might be his first maybe speaking lines, but yeah, you do learn that Ramesses has a wife and a son. Moses is like, "That's cool, let my people go," and Ramesses is like, "Haha, what?"
Yeah, Ramesses thinks it's all a joke to begin with, kind of just one of Moses's games, like they always used to.
Yeah.
Like just a gag they used to have when they were kids, you know. So Moses just keeps on like, you have to let my people go. You have to let the Hebrews go. And so he does.
Yeah, he decides to show him a demonstration of
God's power.
Of God's power, of the Hebrews' God's power, and he turns his staff into a snake. Yeah. And Ramesses is immediately like, Tweedledee, Tweedledum, what you got? And this is one of those moments where I'm like, I gotta give it props to him. They kind of pull snakes out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And they each pull a snake out, and they, throw it towards Moses's. And you get a kind of surprisingly almost gory, but it's in shadow, where his snake eats the other two snakes.
Yeah.
You see it like chomping on them too.
All of this in the midst of the musical number playing with the big boys now.
Yeah.
Which is sung by Steve Martin and Martin Short.
Mm-hmm.
So, they're just kind of...
Play with the big boys, you play with the big boys, so catchy.
We are going to get so copyrighted.
For me going, I sound like Peter Griffin. Like, I think we're good.
But, yeah, I sort of can't help myself but imagine what Steve Martin and Martin Short looked like in the recording booth recording this stuff. And I feel like they were chewing the scenery.
I was like, I imagine it's exactly what you think it looked like. I would almost imagine they were in one booth with one microphone.
That wouldn't surprise me. Knowing Steve Martin and Martin Short, that would not surprise me at all.
But no, it sucks here because Ramesses is like, I can't free them. That's our entire workforce.
Yeah.
Everything will collapse. I can't do that. But then he goes from, I can't do this, to like fury.
Yeah.
You've been gone for so long. You're my brother. You come back. And instead of loving me, instead of hugging me, instead of being with me, you're almost like choosing to go to war with me.
Yeah.
So fuck you, fuck your people. I'm doubling all of their work.
Yeah.
They will suffer under me because of you.
Yeah.
And a lot of the Hebrews feel that way as well.
Yeah. Moses goes sort of towards the Hebrews area and immediately gets a ball of mud.
Yeah,
in
like
the face.
ball of very overly animated mud to the face.
Yeah,
It's a little drippy for mud.
thrown by Aaron
Yeah.
of all people. Which,
The old Jeff Goldblum.
yeah,
What a douche.
because Aaron
Specifically blames him.
and is also very much doubtful about all of this. Like, he doesn't believe that there's going to be a deliverer. He doesn't believe that there's going to be any of this.
Yeah, he's very much a just keep our heads down and just kind of get through it type.
Yeah. And then Miriam comes in and is like, "Yo, bro,
Yeah.
calm down."
Our mom literally said he was the chosen one.
Yeah. So
He is Luke Skywalker. I'm sorry, Anakin Skywalker. It gets confusing.
and Miriam kind of tries to comfort him and build him up a little bit. And Moses sees Pharaoh sailing down the river on a barge right there. And so he stands up, takes the staff, and this is where he turns the River Nile
Dude,
red with blood.
another cool fucking animation.
Yeah.
And then, yet again, this is another one of those moments where he looks back to his priest and he's like, explain this. And they're like, we got this. And they pull, I guess, fucking powdered red food coloring out of yet again. What kind of utility belt do these fucking dudes have?
It's got to be just like some clay or something, but it's such a clever thing
It
for
is.
them to do. Like,
And they even make a big deal about like, in the name of Ra, like it looks like them casting a spell on like a big basin or bowl of water, and it makes it look. And he even like puts his hands in it and is like, ha ha ha, this is how he did this.
Yeah.
Despite the fact he saw him walk out with a stick and go boom, blood.
Good trick, Moses. Good trick.
Yeah. And then we go into the motherfucking plagues. I am so much more excited about this than the Egyptians were. This is, oh my God, the music. Oh, the music. The animation, the music, the story. So good.
This is another montage song because you get all of the...
all the plagues
all
except...
the plagues.
So we got the first one already. We're saving the best for last. So this is going through, the other 8, I guess?
Yeah.
Yeah, 10 in total. So yeah, the other 8. And it's, you're just seeing like one after another. And it is a montage. So, the frogs, the boils, the fire. The prolonged darkness is always one that I feel like you don't tend to see as often in some. Yeah. It would be very easy to gloss over, but the image of the darkness hitting while Ramesses is in his seat is a very cool shot.
Yeah. There's so many great shots just in this montage, just visuals and everything else going on. I think about the song starts off with this really great little bit of chanting about like what's gonna like. I can't describe it.
Pestilence and plague.
Yeah, I can't describe it. You just have to listen to it.
Yeah,
like it's so cool.
I send my sword. I send the scourge. Thus saith the Lord.
Yeah.
And then Ramesses is like, "You who I called brother, why must you call down another foe? Let my people go." And then Moses is literally like saying, "I wish that God had chose another. Serving as your foe on His behalf is the last thing that I wanted."
Yeah, it's basically a reprise of all I ever wanted from earlier in the film, but now now it's a remorseful all I ever wanted.
But he is still belting "Let my people go."
Yeah,
he's not letting go of that thought. It's good shit, man.
Yeah,
this is probably the best part of the movie.
Like I've said before already in this episode, it is one of my favorite sequences, not just in this movie, but in all of film.
It's so fucking good,
man.
It's
so good. Go watch it on YouTube.
Just in case we haven't convinced you yet to watch this movie, fucking go watch this movie.
Yeah, if you haven't watched this movie or if you just need a refresher, go watch.
Yeah. It is absolutely fucking incredible.
But there's another great shot in the midst of everything where you see, I think it's the statue of Seti, and the fireballs are raining down, and it just makes the eyes glow behind it. And then you see everything crumbling, and you have at the very end, you have Moses and Ramesses standing opposite of each other, one shrouded in red, one shrouded in blue. You get Moses on one half of the screen, you get
Moses in one corner, Ramesses in the other.
yeah, one shrouded in red, one shrouded in blue. They've kind of had this color coding throughout the entire sequence, and then you get this part where they're like you see their faces both kind of superimpose on the screen beside each other. Then they flip to face each other. It's so good.
It's good shit, man. It is so good.
And kudos to Ray Fiennes. The man's actually singing his own stuff.
Yeah,
I mean, it
sings like three lines.
It speaks singing, but it's very fun that it's Ray Fiennes doing it. Like,
yeah.
I've watched some of the behind the scenes videos of them like recording their stuff, and it's very fun to see Ray Fiennes just get into this sort of thing.
He's so good.
Yeah,
I like how I guess the last thing we talked about on here with him was the menu.
Yeah, I love Ray Fiennes. He's one of my favorite actors.
So fucking good. But yeah, we have all the plagues, all this great montage, and then we have kind of almost a penultimate scene between the two brothers where Moses is saying like, "Let my people go," and Ramesses is like, and Moses is like, something very bad is coming next.
Yeah. I don't know exactly what's coming.
Yeah,
but it's worse than everything else. You have to let my people go.
Yeah, it is a last like just final lament. Like, please let us go.
Please, brother, listen to me.
Yeah.
Don't let your pride get in front of all this.
Womp womp.
And there's another thing that's really great in all this is Ramesses' son comes in the midst of it all.
Oh yeah, he's like, "Father, is this?" He says something like, "Father, is this the enemy or something?"
Isn't this the man who did all this?
Yes.
And so this entire sequence is great for a number of reasons. Number one, you're in the room where they were earlier, where Ramesses is once again up in like the hands of the statue, and he's just like lamenting everything, and he's actually kind of seems like he's going to relent, like he wants to relent on this thing, but he doesn't know how with his pride and his ego and his power, how to do it. And so Ramesses comes in, and all the while this is also the room where the hieroglyphics are for the slaughter of the newborns. And Ramesses comes down and they have this great conversation about that's very conciliatory and how much they want everything to just be simple. You good?
Yeah, thought I heard something kind of rumbling outside. Conciliatory.
But they have this great conciliatory conversation about how they just want to be brothers again, and how everything was so much more simple when they were younger and they were just brothers before all this mess started. The son comes in and
ruins everything.
not just that, but the framing of the son in this moment is so incredible, because Moses is like, think of your son in this moment because of what's about to come. And the son is like positioned perfectly on against the muraled wall where the crocodile's jaws are surrounding him. And it's just such God, I love it so much. It's such good filmmaking. Oh my God, it's such a great visual. And Ramesses is like, I am thinking of my son, and there will be a great cry in all of Egypt.
I can like see it.
And Ramesses like hardens in that moment where his son's like, isn't this the man who did all this? And and the pride comes back, and it's like, I have to be strong about this. I can't be the weak link like my father said I was. And so he tells him that that his father had the right idea, and that he was going to slaughter the firstborns of the Hebrews again, and there will be a great cry throughout Egypt, which is a phenomenal sentiment, because what happens next goes without a sound.
Yep.
Without a sound. It's, oh my God, I love this movie so much.
I can tell. Yeah, so at this point, there's just, breakdown of communication.
Yeah.
And Moses goes and tells the Hebrews that what they need to do is need to sacrifice a lamb, and then they need to take the blood and kind of like almost paint the edges of their doors to their home. So above, to the sides, and that is how kind of the thing is going to know to pass them over. That's how it's going to differentiate between the Egyptians and the Hebrews.
Yeah.
And at night, it's just sort of depicted as a ghostly light. I mean, kind of like an angel of death.
Yeah, that's basically what it is.
Yeah, you see it come in, and then there's no words for any of this, and it comes in, and you see it like going house to house, and it passes over the houses with the blood. There's a great fucking shot where one of the kids that is obviously Egyptian because of the way that they have their hair and whatnot.
Yeah.
You see them like carrying something, and they walk into a door frame, and you see the angelic light follow them in. You hear a clatter, and you see what they were carrying like roll back out.
Yeah, and then you see the hand flop out of the doorway.
So it's like we just watched that kid die.
Yeah.
And it goes through all of Egypt, and he talked about the big cry would be heard through all of Egypt, and
it's done without a sound.
Yep.
The only sound you hear is just the quick rush of a final breath as the life force is sucked out of the firstborns.
And this is the 10th plague.
Yeah.
And it targets all the firstborn sons. Pharaoh only has one son.
Yeah.
So after that, Moses goes to visit Ramesses, and Ramesses he doesn't even say like, I will let your people go. He's basically just like, take your people and leave.
Yeah.
He's just like, just go. Just get out.
And it's interesting because I'm not sure 100% that Moses was there in that moment to be like, hey, let my people go. I think he just wanted to comfort his brother.
Yeah, because he literally turns to leave, and when he gets outside, he collapses.
Yeah.
Like, that was, for all intents and purposes, that was his nephew.
Yeah.
And this is what it came to. He gave him every single chance.
Yeah.
Wouldn't listen.
And so, yeah, Pharaoh has told them, just take your people and leave. Moses even tries to, like, put his hand on his shoulder to comfort him, and he shrugs away, and he's like, leave me.
Yeah.
In my anger and my grief. And then, of course, in this moment, Moses goes off, and then Ramesses is immediately like, no, I want revenge.
Yeah.
So Moses gathers all of the Hebrews.
Yeah,
and
dude,
they start to
it's
leave.
everyone. It's he and Zipporah, Miriam, Aaron, all the Hebrews. They leave. There can be miracles when you believe.
This is where the big showstopper song is. I mean, I need to double check. I think it might have won the Oscar that year for Best Original
Would
Song.
not surprise me. There is a poppier version where the Miriam and Zipporah characters are voiced by Mariah Carey and Whitney Houston.
Yeah, the pop version is like...
Yeah. Beautiful song, though. Fantastic. Yeah. It is honestly one of the happiest songs I've ever heard.
Yeah.
And it builds really nice. This is remarkably well-written music, but this one in particular. Every song just perfectly matches what's going on, what you see, what you're supposed to be feeling. Yeah. Everything hits just right.
It really hits like exactly perfectly the same way like the Renaissance Disney films did in the 90s as well, where it just has a perfect song for every moment in the story.
Yeah.
And it's just, you get the whole montage of them leaving in the Exodus. You get some funny shots. You get a couple of Aaron where he's having like this little tiff with a camel or a donkey.
Yeah.
And then later on in the montage, when they finally get to the edge of the Red Sea, he's like, hey, yeah, I know, buddy. I know. But
I don't even think I picked up on that last part.
Yeah, they go through the song sequence. They get to the Red Sea. And, of course, this is where Ramesses peeks over the hill with his army, and he's just about to...
Yeah, he's in a chariot. They are barreling towards them. And everyone's like, oh, my God. Moses is like, watch this. Yeah. So this is where he parts the Red Sea, but also a giant just fucking fire tornado comes down and blocks the Egyptian army from reaching them. Yeah. So he parts the Red Sea again. Beautiful fucking just like cinematics on this, the way it's animated, the music.
It's all so friggin' beautiful.
The music that comes back, I think, is a slight variation on the Burning Bush theme, where it's just kind of the bigger parts of it. I think it's a little bit faster, and then they're going through the
the one thing I want to note here, once these parts the Red Sea, who's the first person to go on faith in the whole thing? Aaron.
I mean, it's Jeff Goldblum. You think he's not going to go towards adventure?
It's just a beautiful moment
That's fair.
of Aaron like coming full circle in his own little arc of he was so determined to keep his head down. He didn't believe in the deliverer and all that stuff. And now he's the
once
first one
once you
through.
fucking see someone part the Red Sea with a stick, yeah, I believe. You kidding me?
But it's also a nice little story of these are Moses' two brothers. One is on the one side trying to chase him down and harm him, and the other one is taking him on faith and all this.
The other one also saw him part an ocean with a stick. I would believe too. No, I get what you're saying. It's very nice. That is fair. I didn't think about that.
But sorry, continue.
No, I mean that's really that's it. He parts the Red Sea. The fire ends just in time for the army to come through and have the dramatic like last moment slam where as they're charging through. I don't know why I did this. Ramesses is not running. He's on his chariot. They're coming through, and Moses is like, "Nope." It's like a clapper, just a clap on, clap off. Fucking ocean. The Red Sea comes back in.
Yeah, Ramesses' chariot just kind of falls apart on the rocky terrain of the seabed, and so he's like, "Keep going on foot. Go, go, go." Walls just start collapsing. On itself. Yeah, Ramesses is like purposefully. I assume almost purposefully, like pushed out onto the other side of the sea.
Yeah.
And everybody else like is just gone.
Yeah, that whole Egyptian army is toast.
Minus the ones, there are some Egyptian folks who like actually leave in the Exodus with with the Hebrews. You actually see a couple of them like helping people over rocks and stuff like that during the Red Sea sequence, which is fun.
It's nice.
It's
and
nice.
they don't really call too much attention to it. It's just part of the scene, which is nice.
Yeah.
Very
and
much
then,
do, don't tell.
And then, they get to the other side of the Red Sea. Everything's back to normal. Ramesses,
Yeah, Ramesses is the one who's still alive. And Moses like says goodbye, brother, as he turns around and walks away.
Yeah, I was just gonna know. Moses is like congratulating everybody. He looks back over his shoulder across the sea remorsefully about Ramesses one last time. Ramesses, in his rage and anger, just cries out for Moses one last time.
And Moses looks at him and utters those famous final words, "Bye, bitch," and then walks away.
Yeah, this is the goodbye, brother moment, and he walks away. The next thing is just you see Moses coming down from Mount Sinai with the Ten Commandments.
Yep.
And you get one final deliver us from the opening of the show in his mother's. You see Moses just parked over like the sea of people looking down on them from the mount, and God Almighty, I love this movie, man. I love this movie.
It's good shit, man. This really is one of those animated movies that I think like transcends the fact it's animated. There are a lot of people that will not watch a movie if it's animated. I'm telling you, this is not one of those.
Yeah, I mean, we've had this conversation before. I know we both feel that animation is for everybody. It's not just for like a kid's
it's not
medium.
Just kids,
like everybody throws it in. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in there for kids, obviously, but watch back your favorite Disney movies and stuff like that. There's plenty of stuff there for you as an adult too.
Yeah.
And it's just cinema. It is all just cinema.
Yeah. This really is one of those that when you talk about all the filmmaking stuff, it's just firing on all cylinders.
Yeah.
Just the entire movie. It is remarkably well made. Again, the writing's great, character's great, music's great, all the voice acting's fantastic, the writing's fantastic, the pacing's good, cinematography's good, the animation's good. This movie's good.
I will say, I know some people might be hesitant to watch it just because it has the religious connotations and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I honestly don't think it, I think it holds up enough on its own just as a regular story.
I think it's a remarkably human story.
Yeah.
With that extra religious element on top.
Yeah.
I think this one does a pretty good job of, if you want to really focus on the religion stuff, there's plenty of stuff there, but if you don't, Still a great movie.
It's not preachy
Yeah.
about it, which is something I really respect.
Yeah.
Um,
But yeah, this has been The Prince of Egypt. Clearly, you can tell that we enjoy this movie. I'm curious if anyone maybe hadn't seen this movie before and maybe have watched it recently, watched it because of us, think you're gonna go watch it. Let us know what you think. Clearly, we are biased. We love this movie.
I love it. I love it so much. I cannot say how much I love this movie. It is interesting talking. This is the first time that one of my movies has we've talked about on one of my favorite movies that we've talked about on the show. We've talked about Godzilla a little bit, and we talked about Men of Honor from yours. But
we haven't talked about Godzilla enough.
We will do more Godzilla.
Just so you guys know, literally every episode, Brandon's like, "What do you want to do?" And I'm like, "Godzilla." He's like, "No."
Unless it's Godzilla -1.
Fuck.
If we talk about Godzilla -1, I'm all for it. Because, man, is that movie good. But
all of them are good. They're Godzilla movies. By the way, at the time that this is coming out, fun fact for any Godzilla fans, Godzilla vs. Biollante just became available in 4K on digital. So buy that today. It's good shit. I've watched it like 4 times since it came out, but it was kind of recently. That was one of the ones that was, they did up to like a certain era, and then you had Millennium era, but then they had like the 1 or 2 in between that they were sort of like no man's land for a while, and now they're slowly filling those in one by one for like digital 4K releases.
I like that we went from The Prince of Egypt to talking about
Godzilla
in our outro.
They're also doing a lot of 4K re-releases of Miyazaki films as well.
Yeah.
So like Princess Mononoke, they just re-released in IMAX, and I upgraded the version of it that I had up to 4K, which is cool shit.
I think Prince of Egypt, I bought it recently on my digital account, and it was on sale, actually.
Yeah.
So
they put this one on sale around Easter every year.
Well, that makes sense. They always show the 10 Commandments on TV, like within the week of Easter.
Yeah.
Because I guess generally speaking, Passover takes place around the same time as Easter every year. I guess it's more about along the lines of the themes of like redemption and everything else fit very much with the idea of Easter and Passover. So they kind of juxtapose that together. Maybe it's because of that I tend to watch The Prince of Egypt every year around Easter.
But yeah, we hope you enjoyed this episode. We've got a lot of very interesting things coming down the pipe for you guys. We are also going to be changing maybe like location or like some recording equipment here in the future. So expect to see new things and new changes on the horizon for Storyproof.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, I'm Bradley.
And I'm Brendan.
And this has been Storyproof.